Public and civil servants in Ogun State now have an opportunity to own their personal houses, as Governor Pt.3 Amosun today announced the approval of housing loans for all categories of government workers. This announcement was made at the official commissioning of the newly built Orange Valley Estate in Abeokuta, the capital. Governor Amosun said similar projects currently ongoing in other parts of the state will make housing affordable for everyone in the near future.
Let me use this opportunity to announce that this housing loan scheme, which will start with our public servants and which modalities will be communicated through their various agencies, are the key elements to the AAK-Dekun Agbara Housing Estate and the new Makum Housing Scheme. Indeed, I can conveniently confirm, and I'm sure Head of Service is here, that the housing loan for our civil and public servants is ready, and I'm sure any moment from now they will be assessing it. Orange Valley, the first gated community in Ogun State, has shown that Ogun State has the capacity to house and meet the housing needs of all strata of people. Low, medium, high, and the super ultra high. We can give everybody a home. Indeed, our investment in security and infrastructure can only be rewarded when people move, when they live, when they work, and live fully in the state. Today, I can proudly announce that over 40 units have been sold and allocated. This is not unconnected with the rapid infrastructural development, which had made our state and investors' destination of choice.
The Governor of Ogun State, Pt.3 Amosun, speaking on housing development in that state. Now, that Nigeria records 350 deaths per 100,000 births is no longer news. But how successful the measures the nation has put in place to ensure this trend is reversed remains the question many experts have continued to ask. While steps may have been taken to address this challenge, many families still lament the loss of their mothers due to birth complications.
Abundant human and natural resources no doubt constitute the natural endowment of a country like Nigeria. But how well the government at all levels has turned all of these for its benefit remains the question. Recent statistics shows that maternal mortality is at 350 per 1,000 births. Although the World Health Organization says that there appears to be sustainable progress between 1990 to 2014, Nigeria is said to have achieved an insufficient progress.
800 people globally die every day. But in Nigeria, if you look at our own statistic of maternal health, more than 100 women and girls die from pregnancy-related causes every day. That would be like 4 NH370 crashing every day, every week for Nigeria.
Globally, a total of 800 women die from child delivery. This alarming situation in the global scene and Nigeria is what government officials and development partners hope to see improved. According to them, achieving the Millennium Development Goals of 2015 will be hinged on its progress in checking maternal mortality.
Part of the challenge before us, which we should not lose sight of in celebrating PPD at 20, is the need to confront the staggering statistics of 800 women dying daily from causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. Young women in developing countries are still caught in the web of unsafe abortions. They urgently need our protection in this regard.
While government at different meetings says it remains committed to reversing maternal mortality in Nigeria, representatives of international agencies promise to help check the situation.
We will intensify our efforts and support to the government to implement policies and programs that will create the enabling environment for the country to harness the demographic dividend for sustainable development. The UN and partners will prioritize and strengthen the analysis of age-sex disaggregated data on health, education, and economy for planning and development at all levels.
Nigeria is said to be making progress in addressing issues of maternal mortality in recent years. It is hoped, however, that as government makes effort to arrest the situation headlong, it will also harness the potentials of its population, especially the young, for a socio-economic development.
Still on health, Nigerians can rejoice that the spread of the Ebola virus disease has been halted in the nation. But medical experts caution that everyone should maintain a high level of alertness because the country remains at risk as long as the virus is present anywhere else. A buoyant and transparent health system, personal hygiene, and reporting suspected cases have been recommended as measures of precaution. Our correspondent, Mary Alala Yusuf, reports.
When the Ebola virus disease was introduced into Nigeria in late July by the Liberian-American Patrick Sawyer, who flew in from Liberia, panic gripped the nation. Some Nigerians who could not remain closeted in their homes lived in dread of contracting the disease.
I kept away from some people. I don't like shaking hands and hugging and some other things that I used to.
I entered those long buses to walk, 5 on the seats, we squeeze ourselves. So I've avoid entering those buses. And whoever is coming behind me, I try to hide myself from that person.
The government immediately set out to quell the fear, which already had people who had non-infectious and non-communicable diseases suffering because they exhibited one or more symptoms similar to Ebola.
Rejection of federal patients, patients who present with fever in our hospitals, without prior assessment constitutes another challenge. As same may also increase stigma and deter self-reporting. Not everybody with a fever or hemorrhage has come down with Ebola viral disease.
Interventions included massive enlightenment campaigns and visible contact tracing efforts.
We had a group of people trained, and all they did was go to areas where we had contacts and then permeated the area with information. They went house to house, and all they did was to teach people on what Ebola is, how to prevent Ebola, and then how to stop or avoid stigmatization. A lot of people were calling in, and we even had what we call the rumor number. There was something called rumor number. So it was to that extent that Nigeria investigated things.
As understanding of the disease dawned on Nigerians, they responded to the information. And when Ebola patients showed signs of recovery and were eventually discharged, hope that the disease could be defeated began to rise. Nigeria has been declared Ebola-free by the World Health Organization, but experts are warning citizens to be cautious since the virus is still active in other countries.
Everybody just needs to be trained, the health workers, so that they'll be able to recognize it fast, individuals in the community, so they'll be able to report cases they suspect early enough. We know that December is approaching, and people may come for Christmas. Nigerians are everywhere. So you cannot rule anything out. For infection prevention and control, there must be funding. It must be budgeted for. And when it's budgeted for, those materials must be procured. And if those materials are to be procured, the procurement system must also be correct. Because if we are buying the right things, we must buy the right quantity and the right quality. So these are the lessons that must come out. Because if we say we are going to use gloves all the time, it then means that gloves must be available in every health facility 365 days in the year. Another lesson is that no health facility can afford to function without running water.
Medical experts say that one of the ways to maintain the nation's Ebola-free status is to continue with the habits that got the country out of the trouble, like hand washing, a high index of suspicion, and reporting any suspected case. Mary Alala Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Hello,
good evening. Welcome to Business News. I am Adeshewa Josh. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has continued to receive third quarter earnings of listed companies from all sectors of the local bourse. And most of the financials posted so far have reflected marginal declines and losses. Our correspondent Temple Ashaju takes a look at this development.
Declaration of companies' quarterly earnings is a statutory requirement of the exchange. So far, more than 20 quoted companies have released their Q3 results to the management of the NSE, and it appears these figures, which are expected to motivate investments, are unimpressive.
We haven't seen very significant improvements in some of the numbers, and I think sentiment around some of those stocks hasn't been quite encouraging. Got challenges from the international community, participation of foreign portfolio investors, fears around election, terrorist acts and all that. So to some extent, a waning interest by investors seem to have impacted the market.
The banking stocks are some of the volume boosters of the markets, but recent records from some of the institutions are also negative.
The latest result we had from GTB was quite impressive. We were thinking that they are going to they may not be able to perform as much as they did. The bottom line just dipped marginally, I think by about 3%. That's quite commendable, despite the different regulations that have impacted banking performance the last few months from Central Bank of Nigeria, and that to strengthen the banks for future performance. So marginal decline of 3%, I think it's commendable.
Based on most companies' performances as reflected on their financials, this may not be the best of time for investors to take profits in the market. However, it is a good time to invest more for long-term purposes. From the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
And outside our shores, Italians are demanding a reversal in the government's plan to reform the labor market in a mass protest in Rome. The rally, which is organized by the largest union, the CGIL, wants Prime Minister Matteo Renzi to back down from plans to loosen labor protection and makes it easier for firms to fire workers. Youth unemployment is at a record high of 44.2%, and the economy has contracted by 9% since 2007. Italy came close to its third recession in 6 years last month. And that's Business News Tonight. The news at 10 continues in a moment.
Next on the news at 10, Nigeria's Super Falcons win a record 7th African Women Championship title with a 2-0 victory over Cameroon. That's on sports. Join us again.